What's up guys, I'm Darren Jackson, and quarterly 3 results from Hyliion came out yesterday. Now keep in mind guys, I normally don't make a video on Saturdays, typically just Monday and Thursday, but if you've been following my channel for the past couple of months, you would have noticed I've made a couple of consistent videos about Hyliion Holdings, considering I'm a big believer of this company and how they're approaching the electric vehicle sector. But I've been waiting on revealing another Hyliion video until they've released something a bit more major. I think their first quarterly earnings are pretty major, so let's get started with that. Now, when I read the quarterly 3 earnings, honestly, my reaction was, okay, I'm pretty hopeful. There are some things that I thought was pretty good. There were some things I thought was pretty expected. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. What I thought was expected, what I thought was pretty good, and then just kind of my bottom line and what I'm looking forward to in the future and how I'm handling as far as the amount of stocks I plan on buying or don't plan on buying or even selling. So let's talk about it. Now, what's expected? So there was a reason why they entered the stock market through a reverse merger with Taurus acquisition. It's because they needed to raise money. They raised over $500 million, and that had to go somewhere, and I wasn't expecting them to make a profit this quarter. And that's exactly what they did, or didn't do. So they announced a quarterly earnings of negative $9.1 million. And if you check on any brokerage app such as Robinhood, you would see that their EPS, or their earnings per share, is shown at negative 48 cents. Remember guys, the earnings per share is the total net profit for that period of time, in this case, the third quarter, divided by the number of outstanding shares that Hyliion has. So considering their quarterly earnings was negative, and they have about 25 million shares in the stock market right now, that's where the negative 48 cents comes from. And the stock market reacted the way I thought it would. There were some drops and some rises. I'm sure people taking advantage of the low stock prices because Hyliion has dropped, what, 40, maybe 50% from its highs of $55 a share back in September, I believe. So these are really good times to invest, in my opinion, if you believe in the company. But let's just keep going from there. The last thing I thought was pretty expected, but kind of leads into the pretty good aspect, is Thomas Healy's focus on sustainability. Now, he does have a quote that I'm going to paraphrase here. He wants to put more of a focus on performance, total cost of ownership data, and sustainability. And all of those are obviously super important, but I gravitated more towards sustainability. And that for me was, again, pretty expected. So what I thought was pretty good is that up until this point, they've actually installed 8 of their hybrid electric vehicle components to vehicles for 4 different companies that they have partnerships with. Now, I know they have a partnership with Wegmans that they announced prior to their merger with Taurus acquisition, along with Return It. On a side note, guys, not a lot of people have talked about that Return It partnership, so I'll leave a link up above because I mentioned it about a month or so ago, so definitely check that out. But anyway, aside from those 2 companies, if those are 2 of the 4 companies, I'm not really sure what the other 2 are. But that is really good news. That shows that companies are not only interested, but they're giving money towards Hyliion. So it's definitely a slow climb for net profit, still a climb. So I'm excited about that aspect of it. Speaking of agreements and partnerships, they also made an agreement with FEV North America, which they will play a part for Hyliion's climb to profit by giving them more commercialization, or at least assisting them in commercialization for their Hypertruck ERXs. Now that's very significant because based off the goal for this company, the Hypertruck should end up being a huge slice of this pie for the profit of this company for the next 2 to 5 to 10 years. So getting into this bottom line of the quarter 3 earnings, Thomas Healy believes that they're still on track to meet their 2021 goals. Keep in mind guys, their goals for this year was to only make a net profit of about $1 million, and within the next couple of years get into the hundreds of millions of dollars, and I believe by 2024 finally hit that early $1 billion profit. And at this point, I like where they're going, especially with the whole sustainability aspect of it. I think the partnerships that they've had are really beneficial, especially the combination of FEV and ANG. So remember guys, FEV is going to help with the commercialization of the Hypertruck, and ANG is going to help with the infrastructure of the Hypertruck. One of the reasons why I liked this company from the very beginning, before I invested $1 into their stock back when they were Taurus acquisition, is because the infrastructure already existed. It just came down to the partnerships. And the partnership with ANG is super beneficial. It's going to help with that. It's going to save them a lot of money. Now I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. Even though I am hopeful, like I said, hopeful that the company's going to do well in the long run, there are some things, at least one thing, that I'm going to be looking closely at It's the competition. So I've been making fun of Nikola for a while now, and I'm sure other YouTubers have as well. But there are rumors that Nikola has a partnership with GM. I think that was unveiled maybe a month or so ago. So I'm really interested to see what that's about. And more importantly, all of these EV companies are within this sector that's led by this juggernaut Elon Musk-led Tesla company, and they have released a partnership with companies such as Walmart, which is supposed to include up to a couple of hundred Class 8 vehicles, which is supposed to give them a huge profit of like $25 million within that ending. So I'm really interested to see how Hyliion's going to respond to that. So in my personal opinion, I think Hylion's just going to stick to the path and not do anything super crazy and just stick to their hybrid components and their hyper trucks and just let the profit come to them. But maybe they have something up their sleeve to kind of keep them up with the competition, because competition led from companies such as Tesla is going to shine a light on these other EV companies, and it's up to them to respond, and it's going to impact the stock market. So I'm really interested to see that. But Hyliion is doing well with these partnerships and potential other partnerships that they could have in the future with companies such as Penske and Ryder. So I'm really intrigued to see how that goes, because again, the more partnerships, the more hyper trucks and more hybrid components they can send out, and the more continuous net profits that they can get from these companies, which will then positively affect the stock market. But as far as me, I have 10 shares of the company right now. I'm a small investor, I only invest $50 a week. And I think I'm gonna keep it at that for now. I may just let the portfolio for this company ride out a little bit post Q3 earnings reviews, and then we'll see and we'll go from there. If it stays around the early $20 range, I may buy a few more, because I do believe this company will grow potentially even to the triple digits by 2025, just based off their assumption for their earnings. So call me hopeful, but that's the title of this video. So let me know what you guys think below. How do you feel about the Q3 earnings? Where do you think Hyliion's going to be at? Are you buying more? Are you selling? What are you guys doing? How do you feel about my opinions on it? I do appreciate you guys watching. We will continue to bring videos out on Monday and Thursday, but thanks for watching the Saturday video. Have a great weekend, and until next time, take care.